Hello. Okay, so we are going to be doing chapter 4, section 5, which is the quotient rule for our derivatives. So 4.5 is the quotient rule. Well, if you know stuff about math at this point, you guys should know that quotient means division, right? And so if you see a problem where you're given a function and you're asked to find the derivative and there's division in the problem, then your brain should say, quotient rule, I need to use that. Okay, so here's what a problem is going to look like. So given f of x equals 5x cubed minus x squared over x cubed minus 2x. Find f prime of x. Okay, so there's the division. You can see it. So here is the quotient rule. So f prime of x is going to look like v of x times u prime of x. Now this isn't new. This is the same notation we had for the product rule. So you're going to be renaming these things. Minus u of x times v prime of x all over u of x squared. Okay. Let me just make sure. Nope, that's wrong. It's a v. Make sure that's a v. It's the bottom function. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to rename these functions. The one on the top will be u of x, and the one on the bottom will be v of x. Okay, so u of x will be 5x cubed minus x squared, and v of x will be x cubed minus 2x. Okay, and then we're going to take the derivative of those because we need the derivative of each one in the numerator. So u prime of x is going to be 15x squared minus 2x, and v prime of x is going to be 3x squared minus 2. All right, now we're just going to plug and chug and do a bunch of math. All right, so here we go. Let's get green, I guess. Okay, so we're going to go v times u prime. So this guy times this guy. So that's going to look like x to the third. I was deciding if I wanted to put an f prime of x out front. I mean, you could. You make sure you add that when you're done. So that's my v of x times u prime of x, which is 15x squared minus 2x. And now I'm going to subtract, and be careful with that subtraction sign, u of x times v prime. So 5x cubed minus x squared times 3x squared minus 2. And then this whole thing is over the denominator, v of x, which is x cubed minus 2x. And I'm squaring that. Now, I'm going to tell you, when you do varsity, let me change my color here. You can leave this just like this. You do not have to expand this. For varsity, okay? If you want to, you can. I did a bunch of problems both ways, and if I expanded it, it gave me the correct answer, gave me a check mark. And if I left it like that, it also gave me a check mark. Okay, so where we're going to go now, and I'm sorry I cannot like extend this page down, so I may have to go to a new screen here in a minute. I'm going to try to jam it all in. So when we FOIL all this out, right, I have to FOIL this, and I have to FOIL this, and then I'm going to combine like terms. And here's where you have to be careful. You have to make sure when you FOIL this, you make sure you multiply this negative into that, right? So when I FOIL this left-hand side, I'm going to get a 15x to the fifth, okay, minus 2x to the fourth, minus 30x to the third, plus 4x squared. Okay, now what I would kind of do is multiply this one over here. So this is going to give me 15x to the fifth minus 10x to the third minus 3x to the fourth plus 2x squared, and I have a negative in front of that. So I'm really going to have minus 15x to the fifth plus 10x to the third plus 3x to the fourth minus 2x squared. And then I'm not going to put this over anything yet. What I'm going to do is going to come down here and go f prime of x is going to equal, now my 15x to the fifths are going to cancel out, right? I have a 3x to the fourth minus 2x to the fourth. So that's going to be a 1x to the fourth. And then these are gone. And then I'm going to get a negative 30x to the third and a 10x to the third. So that's a minus 20x to the third. And then these guys are gone. And I'm checking these against my notes kind of as we go. Then I have a 4x squared minus 2x squared, so plus 2x squared. And I'm going to put this all over this denominator right here, right? So x to the third minus 2x squared. And this whole thing, I can't believe I fit this on the screen, is your derivative of that thing. Okay? So it's not a whole lot different than your product rule. But I'm going to tell you, when I do these, I often make little mistakes. And sometimes it's like forgetting to put the denominator in, So just be careful, okay? I'm going to do one more example, and then I'm going to show you one more thing. Oh, maybe there's two examples. What do we have to find? F prime of, I'm looking at my notes here. So yeah, there's two more examples I want to do for you. Okay, so the next one, it says, do this in black, find f prime of x if f of x is equal to x plus 1 over x squared plus 2x plus 1. Okay, so we can kind of, I need to move this little thing over here. Okay, so we're going to say let u of x equal x plus 1, which means u prime of x is just going to be 1, right? Because when we take the derivative of x plus 1, only this x is important, and the exponent's 1 and the coefficient's 1. So when we multiply those, we just get 1. And we're going to let v of x, let's get rid of that, jump the gun a little bit. So v of x is going to be the denominator, v squared plus 2x plus 1. And then v prime of x will equal 2x plus 2. Okay, so now what we're going to do here, oh, I think I missed some directions. Find f prime, oh, the directions. I actually had them a little bit incorrect. So if you could correct these, that would be great. It says, so there's not two actual directions. There's only, this is the last one. Find f prime of 2 if f of x equals blah, 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 blah. So the first thing we have to do is actually find the quotient rule. Okay, so we're working on that. So step 1 is find the quotient rule. And so we're going to find f prime of x by taking u of x let's see. So we're going to go v of x times u prime of x. So that one times that one. So I'm going to take the 1 just because it's simpler. So I'm going to go 1 times x squared plus 2x plus 1. And I'm going to subtract off these two times each other. So I'm going to go x plus 1. And remember, multiplication doesn't really matter what order you do it in. So 2x plus 2. Okay. And then I like to, this is just my method. You can do it however you want. I like to do this somewhere else. So I'm going to do that foiling. And so when I do that, I'm going to get a 2x squared and a plus 2x plus another 2x plus 2. So I have 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. And then I'm going to multiply that by a negative, right, when I bring this down. So I have x squared plus 2x plus 1 minus 2x squared minus 4x minus 2. And all of this is over our x squared plus 2x plus 1 quantity squared. Don't forget that part, okay? So now if I simplify this, I'm trying to fit this all in a little space. I have a 2x squared, negative 2x squared, and an x squared. So that is a negative x squared. That's this one and this one. And then I have a negative 4x plus 2x, so minus 2x. And then negative 2 plus a 1 is a minus 1. Okay, and then that is all over x squared plus 2x plus a 1 quantity squared, and this is equal to f prime of x. So now this is step 1. Okay, we need this in order to do f prime of 2. So f prime of 2. What does that mean? That means sub in a 2 for every x in f prime of x, right? So if this is what I'm subbing into, then every one of these x's are going to become a 2. So it's going to look like this. Negative 2 squared minus 2 times 2 minus 1 over parenthesis 2 squared plus 2 times 2 plus 1. And we're going to square that whole thing. So you got to do everything in the parentheses first and then go from there, right? So be careful here. You know, if you just go minus 2 and square it, you're going to get a negative number. That negative is out front. There's really a negative 1 in front of there. So there's a negative 1 in front of there. So this is a 4, and then it becomes a negative 4, right? So just be really careful. Negative 4 minus another 4 minus 1. So negative 8, negative 9 on top. And then on the bottom, this is a 4 plus a 4 plus a 1. So that's a 9 on the bottom, and I'm squaring that 9. So that's an 81. So that is a negative 9 over 81, and then always make sure that you reduce if possible. And so this is going to be a negative 1/9. Okay, so that's really the only other thing that you need to be able to know how to do in this video. All right, so hopefully that goes well for you, and we'll see you when you practice. All right, toodaloo for now.